Do you feel like there is a gender war going on in today's society? And it's like, duh, bitch. If you said no, what rock are you sleeping under?
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm one of your hosts, Fiji, like the island, like the water. I lose everything within 5 minutes of buying it, and I work in social media and marketing.
What's up, guys? My name's Autumn, like the season. I decided that I'm gay now. I was gay before, then I was bi, and now I'm gay again, bitch, okay? And I'm drinking cold coffee in a mug with a straw. I don't want to hear anyone say shit about that. And I work in entertainment. And basically, if you guys are new here, what we do on So Wet, So Dry is we deep dive topics about sex, relationships, and identities all through the lens of pop culture, internet trends, and our community's experiences. Definitely check us out on Instagram. We post polls and give an opportunity to submit a story for every single episode we put out. So we would love to have, more people in the conversation.
Yes, and today we have a kind of deep topic for you guys. It's been much requested. We are talking about the gender war that is going on online. I know, and heteropessimism. It's a deep one. We're going to break it down. But before we get into all that, we're going to start the episode as we always do, talking about what we're so wet and so dry about in this very moment. So I will go first.
Okay.
I'm so wet about reading a book. It's been a fucking minute since I've read a full book, but I read this one in like 2 days. It was really good.
Classic.
It was The Woman in Me by Brittany fucking Spears, guys. You know she's been the fuck through it. Yeah. I didn't know it's different hearing the whole story from like her perspective. Like,
right.
And she probably had like help with a writer and like blah, blah, blah.
Totally.
But it's like her approved narrative. And I think it pairs like really nicely with our episode about girl teendom that we did 2 weeks ago. Because it was kind of that era. Like, Britney Spears was a little bit before us, but it kind of set the stage for, like,
right. We were, like,
girls,
about
women.
to be preteens. We were, yeah.
Yeah. She was, like, our icon, like, idol. Like,
totally.
She was one of them, like, with Rihanna and, like, Beyonce and all those people. So, like, definitely highly recommend. I think the audiobook is free on Spotify. So check
Which
it
is
out.
crazy.
I know.
That,
if I knew
blows
that,
my
I
mind.
wouldn't have bought it. But I like reading it more. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be so extra because I like to listen to the audiobook, but I also want to read along. I like both.
Wait, at the same time?
Yeah, like I'm like reading along with the guy saying it. What am I just going to sit in my room and look at the ceiling and listen to it? No,
listen to it like a podcast and like cook or like.
Yeah, okay.
I've been doing that with Julia Fox.
I don't really do that.
A memoir or whatever, but hers is a little harder to listen to.
And Drew Afualo is writing a book right now, and you best believe we'll promote the fuck out of it.
Oh yeah,
once it comes out. But that's dope. Yeah, Fiji's a big reader. I remember like you always finish books really quickly, and it blows my mind because I can't relate.
Once I get into it,
Yeah. It's like TV. Like it's like TV in your head. All right. Anyways, I'm so wet about Tate McRae. If you guys aren't hip, get hip. I feel like I'm definitely late per usual, but it's like I love her music. Like it definitely slaps really hard, but what really got me was her music videos because a bitch can dance. Like she's flexible as fuck. She's the dancer I want to be. Like I'm obsessed with her. Like I'm literally obsessed. I've been going through a big fixation on music videos lately. So I've been just like watching music videos for 5 hours straight. It's pretty weird. Like I'm not like a very musical person, but I really like the film part of music videos, the storytelling, like all that, the bitches looking bad as fuck. Like I eat that shit up. Do I pretend it's me? Yeah, I do. But anyway, so it's just really good. I love her so much and she feeds my soul.
Yeah, I definitely need to tune in. I know you told me last night, but I still haven't watched.
Yeah,
so I will. But I watched all the other ones she sent me.
Right. Yeah, I know. You are good. You're better than I am, bro. It's not even like I want to fuck her. Like, I definitely would fuck her, but I feel like for her specifically, it's more that I want to be her.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the dancing and stuff like that, too. Oh. Vibes. Okay. Going to the dry side of things, you guys know last week I updated you on me being officially done with my situationship pray to God that stays true. It's gonna stay true, guys. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
we don't need
anyway,
to pray to God because you are in control.
I'm going to be firm and I have standards and yeah, exactly. So anyway, I have dating apps again. I have Hinge, and I just like, I'm at the point where I don't think I'm where I was like 6 months ago in terms of dating. Like I'm not like fuck everyone. Like I'm kind of like, it would be nice to have a partner, but I'm not like demanding it. But dating apps just suck. Like talking to every guy on there, it just makes me cringe. Like their photos, I just don't like them. Like it's just so hard. They're just on there for a hookup or they want to meet up instantly. And I like, that's never completely
like
a
that
good
night
use of my time. Yeah, it's like, it's too much. And then I changed my Hinge to just women because, guys, I've had sex with women before. I've had like friendships, but I've never like been romantically involved with a woman. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to just like try harder on that. I changed all my responses to be much more centered towards women because I feel like a lot of the men were like just saying things like wanting to like hook up right away or go to the house. So like my Hinge was like set up more towards like men, like talking to men. But I switched it. So we'll see. I haven't had much success
see the
yet.
answers. How it
Hinge
switched.
answers are so like cringy though. Like
I don't think so.
But it's just like, isn't it a weird way to like try to find your person? Like it's like a job profile.
Dude,
resume.
it's so weird. That's why I don't even like I put like emojis. Like I just like
But I try to think of what my because I don't like it when people write essays. But I also don't like it when they don't put anything.
Yeah.
You know, but I also don't like it when they try to be like too funny. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm honestly dry as fuck about dating apps too. Like I've talked about it before, but I'm blocked on most of them. But I do have a Tinder, so hit me up if you're in LA. I'm on Tinder. And I did match with this like really gorgeous girl, but she's like shorter than me and the conversation's dry and she just wants me to like fuck her and like no. I want you to fuck me.
Right. Right. I'm like, what? You're not the dom here.
Yeah, but like, why do bitches like want that from me? I swear to God, I'm just like, I think
it's because
honestly,
you've been gay for a while and you're very forward with your flirting.
Right. But I just want to be a submissive little slut in the bed. Like, how is that not hard to understand?
See, okay, I saw this guy on Hinge the other day he was really hot and his answers were like pretty normal, but one of his answers was he was like, I just want a submissive girl to like dom. And I would match. The thing is, like, I know, and I was tempted to, but I'm like, I don't just want sex. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I just want sex.
I don't know what I want
I don't know if I want a date. I don't know if I want the love of my... I don't know what the fuck I
feel
want.
like if I were to get in a relationship right now, I would, like, fuck them up or something. Like, I just feel like I'm not ready. I do really want to have sex, though. Like, I really badly.
I want, like, love sex, though.
Yeah, I know. I don't want some, like, bullshit. I want to, like, feel something. Like I want to feel, like...
I want a soul connection.
And that's why I keep going back to my exes. Because, like, I feel that soul connection with them. Even though it's dead and gone now. Like...
That's why when I masturbate, all I think about is the guy I was in the fucking situation.
Same.
Like,
every time.
I don't want him, like, at all. But I'm just like... We had a fucking connection with like pheromones and I met you and there was like push and pull. Like that doesn't exist on dating apps.
No.
Like
it's all so fucking dry. I'm kind of dry about something similar. Like I'm just dry about like having good relationships with people that like don't live here. Like I'm just like sick of it. Like especially you. Obviously you're the number one person I want to like live near like very badly. But there's also this other friend I've like reconnected with and we do kind of flirt sometimes. But we're mostly just friends. Like but I just wish she was here. Like I feel like I'm so sick of being like I don't have friends because that's such a lie. Like I do have friends. They just don't live here.
Live in my because it would be, we talk about all the time how fucking healing it would be to like go out to dinner after work on like a Friday and just go out like the two like Fiji. Or just have a wine night or play games like just to like be in the same room as each other. And, like, experience that,
Or, like, do painting like we used to.
Right. Like, vision board. Like, New Year's is coming up.
I know. We need to do a vision board. And so do you guys, if you guys haven't done your vision board. And, like, I'm honestly thinking, like, maybe we'll do a vision board for, like, January, February, March. Because I don't want to do the whole year.
Yeah, we could do quarterly. And
Quarterly.
Then, like, check back in. Yeah.
Right. Because that's where I feel, I don't want to look back after a year and be like, fuck, none of this, you know? Like,
But I only made one I didn't make one last year, guys, but in 2022, I made one. It's still my fucking Mac home screen.
and some of it
And
has,
I did a lot of it.
Yeah.
Some of it has changed. It's not shit I want to do anymore. But a lot of it, like, did come true. So, like, I don't know. I feel like just having it as your lock screen, like, having it as your phone screen, something, like,
totally, to see it all the time.
Yeah, it helps.
Okay, guys, so let's get into the episode. Basically, like Fiji said, today we're talking about the gender wars. Are heterosexuals too pessimistic when it comes to relationships? All that shit. So we kind of just want to read off our polls just in a row. We're going to kind of go in more after, but we just want to let, you guys know what you thought, because we care what you thought, honestly, more than we thought sometimes. It's mad interesting. So basically, we straight up asked y'all for the first poll, do you feel like there is a gender war going on in today's society? And it's like, duh, bitch. If you said no, what rock are you sleeping under? So 87% said yes and 13% said no. And again, I feel like that one's kind of a no-brainer, but we just wanted to let y'all know, like, what was going down. This is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So not much to really say on that one because it's a big fat duh. Okay. The next one, which I think is a little more interesting. Do you think straight people are too pessimistic? Okay, this requires some thought because I feel like right out the bat, people are like, no, what the fuck? People are always hating on straight people these days. But like, y'all are. Okay. And I'm also like partly straight, even though I just said I was gay, but you know what I mean? Like,
you're bi.
I'm bi. I know. So do you think straight people are too pessimistic? 78% said yes. 22% said no. I think yes, they are, but I think for good reason, because these men suck, point blank, period.
Yeah, I think yes, they are. I feel like the people that voted no, maybe they're in relationships.
Or they're a man. Cheers.
Or they're a man. But even men are pessimistic about women too. So,
that's what I'm saying. Like, they are, but they're like, no, we're not.
Yeah, because they're like very defensive over like heterosexual people
right.
and all that shit. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But I'm like, they absolutely, like, there is not like it's bad straight people. Like, it's the system, like it's causing people to be pessimistic, and like that's why you have women saying all the time, oh, we should just be gay and all that shit. Like, that's a thing, and you can't lie. Okay.
Yeah.
Next poll, love this one. This was 50-50, baby. We said, do you think women hate on men too much? Do you think women hate on men too much? 49% said yes, 51% said no. I think yes. Yes, they do. Do women hate on men a lot in today's society? Yes. Do I think they have reason to? Also, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree that for this episode too, I think it's really interesting. We had no responses, no stories. I think people are really afraid to talk about this topic, even though they've replied to our stories when we might be like hating on men and shit like that, like a lot. But one guy replied and said, it depends on the woman. And I think that kind of like sums it up.
Of course.
For this thing.
Right.
But he's like, right. Because that's how we feel. Like,
right.
Like, I do think women do it like a little too much, but is it more valid? 100%.
Yeah, and like we'll get into it too, but it's also like it doesn't make us happy. Like, it doesn't feed our soul to hate on men. Yeah. Like, I don't like look back at the episodes of me being like, I fucking hate men, I don't trust men. That's not like, oh yes, woohoo. Like, it's not a good feeling, but it's like based on experiences, this is where we're at. So anyways.
Right, exactly.
And then the next poll, very similar but switched. Do you think men hate on women too much? 88% said yes, 12% said no. I mean, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Men are constantly hating on women. They really don't like women, and they should just be gay, because why are they so mean?
Right. And I like that our audience agrees that men hate on women too much more.
But the women hating on men was 50-50, which is because I feel like, and I get it, like part of me, because we also vote in the polls, like Fiji will post it, I'll post it, we post on So It's or Die. So like I'll, share my opinion. And I think that like, I wanted to say no, because it's like, it's giving like, do women hate on men too much and it's wrong? But I'm like, women can hate on men too much and it still be valid, But I think overall, yes, we do. Like, we do.
And it depends on where you're coming from, because if we're talking about like patriarchy, which I think a lot of women hate the patriarchy versus hate men. So it's like that
hate their
gap of,
individual brains and what they do and all of that.
Yeah. And like,
which I kind of do too, but I don't know.
And hate is like blown up because sometimes you could be pointing something wrong with like the other gender, how they move, and it's not you hating on them.
Yeah.
But it can be like put into that category. So it's complicated.
It all comes from a place of hurt, and women collectively, every single one of us that has straight tendencies has been hurt by a man. Like,
Yeah.
But it's also, we'll get into it. I honestly have so much to say about it. It's actually crazy, dude.
Yeah, this topic is definitely a big one. But part of what inspired this topic was a video essay that recently came out by Khadijah on YouTube. It's called The Gender Wars Aren't Y'all Tired? Heteropessimism Unpacked. And it was a really good video essay. They have some great video essays, so I will link that in the description, and you guys should definitely check it out.
Definitely.
But I had never heard of heteropessimism before.
Me either.
Yeah, it makes sense, though, when you break it down, pessimistic about, heterosexuals. But pretty much the definition, heteropessimism involves performative disaffiliations from heterosexuality in which straight people distance themselves from straight culture by expressing regret, embarrassment, or hopelessness about the straight experience. So I thought it was really interesting that a lot of this stuff was performative, and I think this comes out of, like, we live in a much more like socially conscious society
right
now, where people are more aware of like, you know, heteronormativity and like race stuff and like gender stuff. So a lot of like straight people might have like straight guilt, and also like white men. I think this is a big thing where they're like, I know I'm a white man, like da 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 da. But they're being like pessimistic.
Bro.
But it's performative because they're continuing to like participate in these relationships.
Right,
and, like,
just don't talk about it.
Right. It's like, but we do it too.
I do it all the time, bro.
We do it all the fucking time.
Dude,
like,
it's
like,
actually so embarrassing. Like, I'm not even going to say, but like, I get it. Because like, white guilt is fucking so real. But at the end of the day, it's not cute. It doesn't help anything. And you're still just making it about you when it's not about you.
Right. But it's the same with heterosexual guilt to like a point. And it's also like we're being pessimistic about the sexuality that we are involved in. And that's not really helping it get anywhere.
And we're also feeding off of like everyone else though, because like everyone's doing it. It's like literally trending to like not want to be straight. It's like, because so how many straight people have you heard like just been like, oh, I wish I was gay so I didn't have to deal with men. And like, to be honest, it does piss me off because lesbians have fucked me up fucking hard.
Yeah.
Just as much, if not more, than the one singular fucker man I was with. So that does, but I get it because like, yes, women are superior. At the end of the day, they are.
Yeah.
But they can still fuck you up and be abusive and all that bullshit. But it's just like, it really is like a trending thing to like, not even hate on being straight, but just like wish that you weren't. And it's just like, if people are like out here like just happily being straight, it's almost like off-putting. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's also this like sense of like hopelessness and like just like whatever, even us talking about dating like we just did with the So Wets and So Dries. It's like we're like frustrated with the heterosexual side of dating, but we're still gonna talk to men.
Right.
So it like becomes this thing of you're like, oh, like all men are like this. Oh, like men don't know how to like have a conversation. They don't know how to go on dates, da da da. But like we're still actively engaging in it. So that's kind of just creating this bigger barrier between you having a healthy heterosexual relationship. And men definitely do it too.
Yeah.
They're like, women are for the streets, da da da. She's a hoe. Like you don't.
I
like,
love
she's
when
lying
they
if she
say
says
that.
she's celibate. Like all this like crazy shit. But kind of getting into why heteropessimism is like such a big thing right now. If you guys are on TikTok and have any sort of algorithm that's similar to mine, I know my algorithm is very kind of man-hating and kind of like gender talking, sex, relationships, like dating story times. Like there's a lot of tarot readings, like a lot of it is like research for the topics that we talk about, and a lot of it comes from women. But there's a lot on TikTok on the women's side of women being like, you know, there's a lot wrong with men. And then there's a lot on the men's side, which I'm not on as much, with men being like, you know, women are for the streets, blah, 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 blah. Like podcasts like Fresh and Fit, like all this shit. So there's both sides of that. Also like other just things that create this heteropessimism, like men should be building houses. What do women bring to the table? The sassy man apocalypse, men are trash, she's for the streets. Like all of those like ideologies contribute to hetero pessimism and also a gender war. So that's on the like TikTok social media side of things.
I'm just laughing. I love when you say she's for the streets, bro. But yeah, because it's like when you think about it, it's like the gender war in terms like it hits different as like a queer woman like hating on men that like isn't attracted to men, but like then it's like a straight woman hating on men but you're also attracted to them. So it's like men aren't really trash because you still want to be with them. So it's just like this weird thing. And again, I really just think like how it's trending is just fueling the fire even more. And I feel like it is making us all be like a little bit delusional. Because, like, it's like we hear all the time there are good men out there. Like, I can't even count on all my fingers how many times my mom said that to me. Not even just talking about romantic partners, but also, like, a good male doctor, a good male dentist. Because I'm truly, like, where? I'm not seeing it. So it's just, like, just in general. Like, I have not had many male role models. So it's very just, like, what the fuck? Like... But I do think, like, as a society, like, we can definitely do better than this. And I know it's probably like, okay, Autumn, you're a hypocrite because you sit on here and hate on men constantly. But it's like part of it is, like, therapeutic. Like, part of it is me being funny. Part of it is me trying to relate because everyone else is thinking this. We're all feeling this. But at the end of the day, like, the hate, it's not good for us. And it's like... We can sit here and talk about it as intellectuals, but, like, men are never going to do that. They're going to keep saying she's for the streets, which, by the way, if you guys listen to us, you know that Fiji said something, like, on a different podcast that she likes Future, and everyone's like, she's for the streets. And when I was in my music video fixation, I watched a video of Future, and he is sexy as fuck. He's so hot. Like, I would be lying. I would let him tie me up in a dungeon and just come down there and fuck me whenever he wants. Like, oh my God. Anyways. But yeah, I think it's crazy. And I honestly do think it's terrifying. I think it's scary. And I think that we all like have so much power in our voice. Like we need to talk about this shit. And I think it makes sense why people are scared to talk about it. I really do.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to like TikTok, because I was thinking about this a lot recently, like, you know, like the algorithms, like whatever.
Like popping off or just popping off.
Whatever your algorithm is becomes like your like tunnel vision unless you're doing something similar to like what we're doing or like research where you're kind of trying to see the other side of things. So it's easier for you to exist in this like information silo where you're only getting opinions that are like similar to your own or the direct opposite opinion. So it seems like we're at war and there's no middle ground. And I think like a lot of this too has been like in the media and when men and women are pinned against each other. So like, for example, the Me Too movement started in 2017. And if you guys are or are not aware, that was like all of the allegations against Harvey Weinstein. And then it continued from there. Also, there's something going on right now where New York is changing their law about, I think it's like within a year you have to make accusations against rape. Otherwise, you can't do it after that year. So that's why there's a lot of sexual allegations coming out right now. Like Diddy was accused.
That's terrifying. What do you think about that? Is that I think that's bad.
Yeah. So that's what they're saying. Because like right now there's a lot of allegations happening because it's about to run out where you can't make allegations that happen in a while. Jesus, so that's why there's a lot coming to, because people are like, oh my God, if I don't say this now, I'm never going to have another chance to. So that's why there's a lot. So we're having kind of like a reemergence of the Me Too movement. Like with Diddy, he stepped down from Revolt. Right. There's been a bunch of others. So with that is a lot of women, because there were men involved in the Me Too movement, like allegations against other men, like women as well, but like a lot of women coming together to speak up against, you know, gender, abuse, gender,
sexual assault, all that.
Sexual assault, all of that stuff. And then we saw in that movement a lot of men be scared and upset and be like, oh, well, if I ever hold a girl's hand, like, is she going to accuse me of something later? And there was that backlash. So that was one. The next one, women in rap music has been a big thing in the past like decade. Like women have really made like big waves. Like you see like Meg Thee Stallion, you see Cardi B, you see Beyonce, Taylor Swift, like all, not just rap music, Taylor Swift's not rap music, but like all these women coming up and like really taking over the music industry.
Right.
Men kind of not as happy. Some men are happy for it, some men aren't.
Yeah.
Next one, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This was a huge one that happened in 2022. Just recently ended. There's a documentary on it. I think it's on HBO.
Also, if you guys like Sloan, the YouTube channel, he does a really good job deep diving that too.
Yeah,
that's how I like.
I was not tuned into it at all until it was over, but a lot of people were like actively on it.
My
like,
roommate was fucking like obsessed with
it. And like, God, like I love Johnny Depp. Like I've always thought he was sexy as fuck. Like loved him, but again, like I've been through an abusive relationship. It just hits kind of differently. And like the interesting thing about that case was it was a defamation case, which is so different than just a domestic violence case because he was suing her for defamation, like claiming that he was an abuser, and she had made claims during the Me Too movement. So that lit up a whole nother gender war where there were a lot of people on Johnny Depp's side coming to his defense and saying, you can't call us abusers, you can't get us canceled, even if it's grounded in some truth. And a lot of people were going to Amber Heard's case saying, you know, like she was a victim, like or survivor, all of these things. But he won $15 million in damages, and she won $2 million in damages. So he won that case. And I have thoughts on that, but I feel like that's more of an abusive relationships episode that we can get into later.
Yeah, but we definitely will do one in the future, yeah.
Yeah, but the last one, because there's so many others, guys, but the last big one that I think recently happened, go ahead.
No, you go.
Is the Meg Thee Stallion versus Tory Lanez, which is similar domestic violence. He shot her in the foot. There was a lot of people coming hard against Megan, talking about she lied, she changed her story. A lot of people saying it's not fair for him as a black man to have to spend 10 years in prison. And, you know, with domestic violence cases, especially for black women, how often do we actually see, you know, the people who hurt them go to jail? So that was like a big thing. And for him to be such a successful man. So that kind of set the internet and camps of gender in two. So all of this stuff going on, it created this environment for a lot of people to pick sides of their gender. And it also hit on things that I think can be like mutually true at the same time.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because yes, like it is Tory, you know, whatever, like he is a black man and he shouldn't be in the like the prison system is like a whole other like mass incarceration, all that shit. Like that can also be true, but at the same time, like, you know, he did something bad and she deserves
the same thing for Diddy too. And like he did and also for her to change her story, people were saying that like I've changed my story when I've had to deal with the cops when I was in abusive situations to protect the other person. She changed her story to protect the man. So like things can be mutually true at the same time. And if you actually like deep dive the facts and get your facts from a credible source and not like a podcast all the time, you know?
And also when you like go through trauma, like also it's like it is kind of things do change. Like sometimes like in traumatic moments, like you do realize new details or something, you know, stuff like that. The last thing I'll say, it's like also it's like these cases like last such a long time, you know, it's like even the Meg Thee Stallion, it's like that the actual thing happened a while ago, but it's like it's still, you know, it takes a long time to get resolved. And I deep dived one of these cases too about like, it was like Drake Bell, like Drake and Josh, and he had that like younger fan
in Mexico.
And she like took him to court and like everyone, you know, like he made her feel like she was delusional and he just like sat there shaking his head like this never happened, even though like it damn well I mean, I don't know that much facts, but it's like I'm just like, why would this poor girl put herself through that? I don't know, but it's just like all these it's scary.
That's exactly the thing too, because it's like you got to think like none of us are unbiased. And like as women, we're going to come into these cases of domestic violence against a woman, especially if you've been through it or if you've had sexual trauma, and be more likely to side with the woman because you have similar shared experiences. Like, and part of that is great because that's what drove the whole Me Too movement, but it does like cloud your view on certain things. But the same goes for men. When men are seeing all these allegations and they start to be like afraid for themselves, like we just have to realize like our biases and also be able to like not put ourselves into things completely and just see it objectively, you know?
Because, like, also, like, is there women out there that would, like, lie about being sexually assaulted for fame? Probably. I mean, there's crazy people everywhere.
Yes.
But it's, like, at the end of the day, exactly, like, we are more inclined, and that's not our fault. Like, that's, like, science shit. Like, we lean that way because, you know, it's true to our hearts or whatever. And it's, like, even if you personally, like, haven't gone through anything, but, like, your mom has or, like, your friend has, it's, like, it stays with you. Like, it's fucking real, and it does feel like a gender war because it's, like, this, like, there's war shit going on. Like, people are getting killed, shot, like, sexually abused, like.
And people are getting destroyed in the comments online. Like, Meg Thee Stallion's video, like, Cobra, her song, talked about that, and then her ex did, like, a diss track towards her. Like, and it spews all this, like, online hate, like, death threats, like, all of these, like, awful things.
And for celebrities, it's just 10 times worse because it's heightened. Like, you know, if it happens to someone that's not famous, it's still horrible. But for them, it's just, like, because you get everyone's opinion. When if you weren't famous, you'd just get, you know, the people around you's opinion. But, yeah, it sucks. It sucks really bad. And I know that we're kind of known as being, like, man haters, but like we're really not. And I think that people that say that don't listen to our podcast. They just watch our clips on TikTok, which is fine. Like, we're happy to get exposure in any way that we can, trust me. But like I really think that like our man hating comes from hurt. It comes from we were sex workers. Like, you guys have to remember that. Like, when you work in a strip club or even just like exist in nightlife, like, your perspective is so much different on these men because all walks of life come in there and cheat on their wives. I can tell you that fucking now. And we were just in a little Boston city. Like, you know what I mean? We weren't even in a huge, like, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm ranting. But this whole thing really stresses me out. It really does. And I don't want people to think that we are man haters because we don't hate men. We hate the system and we hate what the majority of men have done to us. Bye.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest like gap in understanding between men and women. Not to say that there are women that just straight up hate men, and there's also a lot of men that straight up just hate women. But like where we're
I think I did.
I think I have.
I think we did when we were 19. I think
so
we straight up hated them. When I used to call them fat on the sidewalk, like, yeah, I was not a nice person.
Yeah, but you had gone through shit, and like men have hurt us, and like it's normal to like have that journey, that part of your healing.
Yeah. It was fun, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But then you like educate yourself more and you learn about the patriarchy, and the patriarchy hurts men as much as it hurts women too. Like, watch the Barbie movie for a simple breakdown.
And you realize that like all this hate isn't making you happy either. Like, it feels good in the moment to kind of rage. Like, we all need to rage sometimes. But walking around, like, hating a whole gender is not a fun experience, like, at all.
And it makes you alone and sad, which brings me into the next part of this. Okay, so after saying all of that stuff that's happening in the media and everything like that, let's get into the two kind of camps of people that are on very opposite sides. And the first one is incels. And I feel like most people have probably heard of incels before, but if you haven't, an incel is a man who cannot have sex, but it's not voluntary, meaning it's not that they don't want to have sex, but it's that they can't, that the female gender doesn't find them attractive, so they are not presented the opportunity to have romantic relationships with women. And there was a subreddit on Reddit called r/incels that was one of the most visible meeting places for self-identified incels until it was banned by Reddit in 2017. And this was a big, like, breeding ground for a lot of women hate. And it's like when we talk about, you know, we have certain experiences where we hated men for things that we have gone through. A lot of these men hate women because they have never been shown any romantic interest by a woman, and they think that, you know, they're never going to have it. So they
And
hate
trigger warning,
women.
but those are the men that like go into schools and like shoot it up.
Exactly.
Because like, I'm serious, that is the most dangerous type of fucking man, for you to place blame on women as a whole because they don't want you. Excuse me?
Yeah. It's fucked up. And actually,
What
there
the
were multiple incels that did similar things. One was Elliot Rodger, who went on a stabbing and shooting rampage in California. In
I didn't know she was
2014.
going to say that, okay, you guys? I swear to God. Anyways.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this beforehand. But he was a self-described incel. And after the attack, which killed 6 people and injured more than a dozen, he died. He was 22 years old at the time, but he became a celebrity, an inspiration and meme among the incel community.
Oh, wonderful.
So that is like the depths of like these people kind of raised him up as their hero, which is disgusting.
It's giving Hitler. Yeah.
It's definitely giving Hitler. But the incel community, they have been described as part of the manosphere, which is also part of this camp of like the men's side of the gender war. And it includes pickup artists, so-called men's rights activists, alpha male influencers, and more.
So Andrew Tate's an alpha male influencer, hands down.
Yes, exactly. Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, all of that are part of the manosphere, men's rights activists. And incels are like, when you think about it as like, incels are kind of like the bottom, like the foundation, and then like out of them comes the Andrew Tates, because people like Andrew Tate can have sex voluntarily. They do have intimate relationships with women, but they still
Mind
are
blowing,
activating.
but yeah.
Right. So this journal in psychiatry published this study on incels and their commonly held beliefs. These are the 3 core beliefs of incels. Number 1, there is an appearance-based hierarchy in which how one looks is considered the most essential key to both sexual relationships and one's place in society. The second one is a belief in female hypergamy, the notion that women are too sexually selective and use their privilege and sexuality for social advancement above all else. So that's women like taking advantage of their looks to like get up and everything like that.
Oh,
and they believe that women take advantage of it too much, and that they're too selective with who they give sex to. And then the third thing is a dislike, and I would say a strong dislike for feminism. So those are the 3 core beliefs. And then this last one, which have you heard of red pill, blue pill?
No.
Theory?
No.
I had heard of it, like, but I didn't really understand it. It's like from The Matrix. Have you seen The Matrix?
Yeah.
And it's like you either take the red, I forget, it's the red pill and you know everything, or the blue pill and you choose to stay ignorant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the incels have a strong belief in the red pill, blue pill theory. And the reality presented to them by the red pill is that love and sexual satisfaction are commodities that women deny them, and that women, not men, control the sexual aspects of society. Under this assumption, sex and relationships almost become like a game with specific challenges to overcome. When people are described as red-pilled, it means they have accepted this reality. So pretty much if they subscribe to this reality, then they're like choosing to not know like the truth of things.
Right.
I think I said that right. Does that make sense?
No, you definitely did. Like, especially because I've seen The Matrix, and it's like choosing to be ignorant or choosing to accept.
Right. So they're pretty much saying, like, in a weird way, they're saying that women hold the power sexually.
Right, which is interesting because it's like, I kind of agree with that in terms of like consumerism, and like women are more sexually objectified, but at the end of the day, sexual power like leads me to think about, like, trigger warning, like sexual assault and rape, when it's like we all know that like straight men rape the most, like statistically, you know? So it's like that's like sexual power to me too, even though like a woman definitely like in a cute outfit in the club, like that's more sexual looking than even like Future sitting there. Like, he's really sexy, but it's not sexual looking in the same way as like a woman would be. But sexual power Because then it's like, yeah, women do have sexual power. Like, I can get a free hot dog if I flash my titty. I've done it before.
Right.
And I'll do it again. So that's sexual power too, but I don't know.
But it's like, it's kind of, I don't think they're completely wrong in some ways. Do women have more sexual, like you said, like our sexual bodies are like more, like we can make more decisions about who we want to have sex with and stuff like that, versus some men don't have as many options like these incels. But women's sexual autonomy has not been controlled by us for most of society, and it's also been commodified and profited off of to an insane degree.
Yes.
So
You
in
said it
intimate
perfectly.
relationships, like, yes, a woman can withhold sex, I guess, as a means of power, but it's because of patriarchy. You know what I'm saying?
And there's also nothing
doesn't-
wrong with withholding sex. You know,
Yeah.
like
It's
that's not
something
like
to withhold. Like men are thinking of it as something they're entitled to,
Right.
that women won't give up to them.
and that's why it's wrong. I don't give sex to you. That's even such a weird way to put
It's
it.
something we should do together.
Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's giving you're mad because you're ugly, and that's just really sad. Like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like,
And that's like what I'm saying, because I feel like even a dude that really believes like he's ugly, women don't want him, blah, 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 holding all of these beliefs is the least likely way to have you
right,
get a
because
woman.
also
Like,
it's like there is a woman that'll want you out there. I feel like there's a person
Yeah.
for everyone. You know what I mean? Just because you're not Future, like, and he has all these bitches all over him. Like, I'm sorry, he's just on my mind. Like, you don't get pussy like that, because we talk about it all the time. Like, we always think like guys are such players, blah blah blah, but they don't get as much play as we do. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, like, we have these guys
Yeah.
on our phones. They don't. It's harder for them. Yeah, but it's like, exactly, you have to go back to the reason why it's harder for them. I don't know. I'm like kind of conflicted right now because
well, and that's kind of how you mentioned the Future thing. So part of like incel language is they have these terms for people.
Okay.
So like, I don't know if I put it in here, but they call people like chads. Like the term Chad comes from incels, which is funny because a lot of women on TikTok will call, frat bros like Chads and things like that. But like the Chad is like the guy that can get all the women. So it's referred to as masculine men that incels perceive at the top of this social hierarchy. And so they don't like Chads either, just like women don't.
Right.
But for different reasons. And then they think of Stacy's as attractive women at the top of the social hierarchy. These women are both desired and scorned as an incel culture. Attractive women are the reason for their sexual failure. So they hate Stacy's and Chad's. And then they also believe in looks maxing, which is also something that has been trending on TikTok, which means like pretty much like ways that you can like get like style, groom, get plastic surgery, all of that to like move up into the hierarchy. So it's like what they're not realizing is all of this hierarchy stuff is patriarchy shit.
Right.
But they're looking at it as a way of them being oppressed.
Yeah,
In a way, they are oppressed by patriarchy, but they have it backwards, kind of.
It's not like women decided that like getting plastic surgery and like looking a certain way is the way to go. Like, that's the pressures of being a woman. And like, if you're a woman in the music like industry that's trying to come up, like, I would 100% feel those pressures to like get those and like come up that way. But we didn't create that. Like, that's not our fault. Like, that's not what we want. And like, I don't know. It's confusing to me because it's like some of what they're saying like is correct, but it's like they're thinking about it the wrong way and like in a really fucked up and like disgusting way.
And they've like created this community of just men like them who are, celibate, have never had sex, don't have relationships with women, and they're all online and they're spewing a lot of this like hateful shit. So that's like one side of this gender war. But the thing that's so interesting to me about it is how much of that language has like come into our culture, and like it goes up into the alpha male, like Andrew Tate stuff, and then it goes into even like music lyrics. It goes into a regular dude's TikTok, a regular dude's belief. Like, even one of the guys that I was seeing recently, like I would consider him like a good man. Like he was very respectful of women. Like he treated me well, like all of those things. But like he's a man and the algorithm is going to feed him some of these ideologies that are coming from this base of incels. So it's like perpetrating our language.
If, like, I like gave a lap dance to an incel at the strip club or something? Like, do you think incels go to the strip club?
I feel like they don't because, well, I don't
because
know.
that's like those women have to be nice to them. Their job is to be nice and sexually pleasing. So I honestly feel like they would go there and then like trigger warning, like kill her after. Like, I don't know.
And that's the hard thing because I feel like there's a big community of like incels that like don't masturbate, don't do anything, like don't talk to women, like hate women, like all of that.
Not masturbating?
But then there's like, right. Then there's like a step up of like they would probably be the types to go to strip clubs and be like abusive and like want women to be sexual towards them but hate them and be violent towards them.
Right, and hate them. Because a lot of men that go to the strip club do hate us. And like you can tell. But I'm still going to take your money.
There's one guy who I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but he was one of your clients at the strip club and he responds to a lot of the shit we post.
Yeah, and he asked if I was still single. First of all, how did you ever know what? I think I would tell people at the strip club I was single to make myself seem more like I don't have a boyfriend waiting at home, even though I did.
Yeah. But he hates women, like clearly in his responses and in questions he's asked, like a lot of stuff, but wants you. And you're someone who outwardly talks about your view, like your views are very opposite from him, but he wants you in like a domination way, which I think is more of the Andrew Tate side of things.
And it's interesting because like I'll just like spill the tea. Like with that specific man, like what we would do in VIP is like I would be on the couch like masturbating and he would be sitting watching me. And he would be like holding my legs open or like whatever, but he wasn't kissing me. He wasn't touching me in his fingers. Like, and I loved it. Like, I was like, yes, like, he's definitely like an older man. And that was like, you know, it's thrilling because when else would I ever do that? I felt like I was in like some sort of like, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting because he didn't give that in.
But that's what's so interesting about it because it's like how we always preach. You can be a submissive ass bitch in your sex life, but then be very whatever otherwise. And what I feel like these men don't understand, especially with the Andrew Tates that try to dominate and try to control women, is that by doing that, a woman, most women, at least in our camp, aren't going to like submit to you. But if you are seeing us as whole people, I want to be a submissive ass little fucking hoe for you. Like, I want you to dominate the fuck out of me.
Crawling around on all fours with a chain around my neck, bro. But like, if you give me that dominant shit when we're out to eat and you like get mad about some dumb shit and you try to, no, I'm not going to have the chain around my neck. I'm not going to do it. But like, I know, and they're just like so stupid, and part of me is like, oh, they just don't get it. But no, babe, I just think they don't want to get it because they do want to dominate us in the bedroom and outside of it. Just in the bedroom's not enough.
And that's why I think it's patriarchy, because they're looking at it as if I can't, like, if women aren't attracted to me, if I'm not a Chad on the hierarchy, then there's no way women will ever like me. But I've been attracted to plenty of fucking ugly men because of their personality. Most women are attracted to men, like, physically first initially, but will stop a relationship because of, like, the intellect, like, emotional shit, like, all of that.
Right.
We're more attracted to that type of stuff. So, like, they're really hurting themselves by, like, having these beliefs, you know?
I know.
Okay, guys, so let's kind of wrap up incels and switch into femcels, which is a more recent term, and it's not quite the same thing, even though they have the same ending. It's not women who are involuntarily celibate. It's women who are voluntarily celibate. They choose to be sexual because they believe...
They're voluntarily celibate.
Yeah, they're choosing to be celibate, unlike incels who don't have a choice.
Because they can't get pussy. Right,
they believe they don't have a choice, right?
Yeah.
So these women know that they could have sex if they want to, but they are choosing to be celibate because they don't have faith in sexual and romantic relationships with men. And I saw this one quote that this woman was like, I just don't want to be a toilet for a man to ejaculate into. So it's kind of the belief that all men want is sex and don't see women as whole human beings. And so they're choosing not to participate in sexual or romantic relationships with men because they believe men don't respect them. So that's kind of what it pretty much is. There's a big thing on TikTok about it. Like, a lot of women are coming out of this from TikTok, and like similarly like Reddit and other like forums. But just like incels, a lot of that like language and those beliefs, well, this is like one side of the spectrum where they kind of like hate men, like don't believe in their like capacity for like any sort of emotional, romantic, whatever. Like, it's bleeding into like women's beliefs and everything else. And honestly, I went through my own kind of femcel era, and I don't know if I'm like completely out of it. Like, I was celibate from like January to end of June. And it was kind of that, like, part of it I feel like was just like me and how I am in my like sexual relationships and romantic relationships, and being like, I didn't always make the best choices as far as like who I chose to have sex with.
And
we
like, all know that.
Yeah, manic episodes where I'm just like fucking people on some self-harm shit, and then like obviously like I'm gonna feel like the man, like I'm gonna feel like he just wants to ejaculate into me like a toilet in that
that's
situation.
who I'm
because,
going.
Yeah, that's like me hurting myself. But like I do think like we talked about, like being sex workers, like me having been through an abusive relationship, like I did have a hard time like completely believing that like there are good men out there, and that there are men that could like wholly see me as a person and like want to be with me beyond just finding me attractive and wanting to have sex with me. And I still do believe that to a point.
Same.
You know?
I'm still trying to find the will. Like, I think it's better than it was, but I'm still like, where though? Because I'm not seeing it. But then that's when you get into kind of delusional thinking, because we are just one person on a fucking planet. We're just a little ant. Like, we haven't, really, we need to travel more, meet more people. I don't fucking know. But like, we also kind of have been around the block. Like, you went all the way to London. I went all the way to Amsterdam for like 2 months. Like, we were, we kind of, but anyways, the whole thing about celibacy, like, I have been celibate for like 8-9 months, but it's not voluntary. I don't want to. But some might argue that it is voluntary because I'm not going anywhere and I'm not looking for it. And like the people in my DMs, I don't want you. So maybe it is a little voluntary. Maybe it is. But I think for me, being like kind of like definitely more on my queer shit right now, it's not really about this. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't really want, if I was going to have sex with a man, it would just be hit it and quit it. But like, I think if I was going to fall for someone, I do want it to be a woman. Because like, But I don't know. Part of me is like, okay, maybe I should be a femcel, because it really is giving like, because I feel like when we were in our like angry era, we weren't doing the celibate thing though. We were angry and we were still fucking people, horrible combination.
Yeah, terrible combination. And I think that comes out of a lot, and I think it's the direct like cause and effect of like the feminism that existed in the early 2000s that was like, fuck it, be a slut, do whatever you want. And so we had this belief that like, I own my own sexuality, I'm just gonna fuck whoever I want.
Right.
And then that kind of leads to a lot of like meaningless, shitty sex.
But the
reason
reason
you think you have the power
that it's empowering to be like, I can do whatever I want, I can fuck whoever I want, is because of what you said a while ago about how like women's sexuality, like, you said it's so good, like autonomy, like that sort of thing. Because like, we don't really though, because like, we are scared. Like, we do get touched, like the guy that touches you when you walk by, like that should not be a universal experience that we share. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And this is kind of like off topic, but I'm just thinking about it. Like, we've all had conversations with men like about this gender war type stuff. And then you have the men that you have the type of man that will argue with you and be like, da-da-da. Then you have the type of man that will be like, oh, but that's not me, though. You guys are all so beautiful. Blah, 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 I just want to eat your pussy. And then we have the type of man that's like, I know. It totally sucks. I want to fuck the man that just says, I know. Like, he just hears it. Where I'm like, like, I've lost hope on men because he's just like, I know. Like, I get it. That would make me be like, oh, okay.
Yep.
And it's like the same thing of like racism and shit. Like the white person that's like, that's not me. Like, I'm not like that though. Good white person. No one wants to be friends with you. Like, that's not cute. Like, that's giving pick me. But it's just, I'm just like, because like, how do we have these conversations with men? I don't know.
And that's the thing, because it's like, I feel like men need to understand the system, and they need to just accept that they don't get it because they're not in a woman's like fucking body. But then there's this other part of it where it's like, I feel like, and I would not have said this or believed this for a long period of time. I feel like I've only recently gotten there. Okay. But like, I do think as like women, we've come to a place of more equality where we need to take a little bit of more responsibility for like the ways that we go about our relationships and like our sex and like all of that, and how, you know, we're like coming to, because, okay, so recently I was having a conversation with one of my really good guy friends, and I was venting to him, Mylao.
Okay.
He's
on our team on So Wet, So Dry, so it's fine.
Yeah. He's on our team. So I was talking to him about my recent situationship, and I was all fucked up about it. I was like, I really liked him. Like, you know, I haven't liked anyone in a while, like, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, he just wasn't good for you. Like, he was consoling me. Like, he was being a good guy friend, whatever. And he was like, Fiji, like, you don't like people that like you. Like, I've seen it happen in real time. Like, you are not interested in someone who sees you as a whole person. Like, you want someone, like, whatever. Like, you like the bad boy, which we talked about in our bad boy episode. Like, we generally do. And he's right. And, like, I feel like I've realized this in my own healing and growth, is that I do need to take some sort of responsibility for, like, you know, you can't help who you're attracted to a point, but you can help who you give your time and your energy to. And I think that is also where this incel stuff comes from in a lot of these men, because they're like, oh, women give their energy to the men that they can't have. And I feel like a lot of it is just like they're echoing our internalized like hate for ourselves. And so we want to prove them wrong, or like we want to like win them over, or like whatever the fuck. But there are good guys out there that we don't always like pay attention to as much.
And I also think it has to do a lot with emotional readiness. Like, I relate to it. Like, I feel like I do go after people that I know it's not going to fully work out. Like, whether it's distance, whether it's they're sexist as fuck and our values don't align. It's like, because I'm scared of like actual commitment and true love and all that shit. Like, it's scary. And then on the other side of things too, like when you've been fucked over by men so many times, it's like, well, I'm just going to go after the guy that I know will fuck me over, because at least I'll know it's coming, rather than like fall in love with the best guy possible and then he still fucks me over. Like, that's scary. So I think there's a lot of like what having to do, but I also think like self-hatred, like that's real. Like, definitely, especially with my ex-boyfriend, like, come on, man. Like, why? I don't hate myself that much. That's crazy. Like, so but I get it. And I do think it's like important for us to say, like, I do like roll my eyes when you were saying that, but I do think that like we do need to take responsibility for that, because like we can complain about all these guys, but it's like, yeah, why'd you stay with him for 3 years? I don't know, because it's hard. Like, I don't really have anything to say to that. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
So.
And that's like, it's the hard thing, because I do think it's like imbalance, where there's like so many more of these men that are never going to understand these concepts unless we teach them. Because again, just like white people and black people, like women are oppressed, men don't understand, we have to teach them. So it's like overall there's like so many more men that just aren't gonna get it, even the nice guy maybe. So it's like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna keep going back to this like shitty dude that doesn't get it, because well, all men are like that anyway, so like what the fuck. But like the more we raise our standards, but the more I think that we do raise our standards and like choose, you know, like stand in our worth and say like we deserve better than that, and only give time and energy to the few, even if it's few men out there, which sounds depressing because it doesn't seem like there's many, then like that's the only way I kind of see it changing, you know?
I know.
But
and
how
like,
are we going to do that?
We always say this to each other off camera, but it's like the good guy, like he's going to be ugly. So
I'm like,
and how fun, like the incels would be fucking twisting their panties right now hearing me say that.
But there's the nice guy pick, because that's another thing, like the pick me guys that you're talking about, the ones that are like no, like,
not
men
me
are
though,
awful, like da da da.
You're like, a queen.
It goes in this middle area of like these hyper masculine men and then these like apologistic pick me men.
Right.
There's a middle ground there. That,
I don't like
more
either
men
of
should
y'all.
exist.
Both
I don't
of
like
y'all
either.
suck.
Both suck. It's like you got to find something in between where it's like we don't hate you for I hate when men are too apologistic of like being like, oh man. No, like still be a man, still be masculine, all of that, but just like listen to me. Like
Right.
have space
And
and
agree.
like be open.
Just nod your head. That's all I want, because it's like that's just that's how I feel when it's like people are talking about race. I'm just like, it's not my place to really like fucking go in there. Like, just listen and nod and shut the fuck up. Like, you know?
Exactly. And don't be defensive. Like,
right. Okay, y'all. So this has been an intense episode. My heart's definitely been pounding and shit. But I think it's time for us to talk about, you know, some more positive ways. Like, you know, positive things. I meant, like, what should we do about this? And we actually asked you guys. This was our last poll that we did for this episode. We said, what should we do? And I'll start from the bottom to the top. 2% said we all become celibate. I get it. You guys want to have sex. Me too. 9% said nothing. We deal with it. Hate that. Absolutely hate.
Yep.
Just kidding. I love you if you voted. Anyways, we all become queer. 26%. Vibes. Slide into my DMs immediately if you're a woman. And then we try to find a middle ground at 53%. Y'all are the softies, but that was the right answer, okay? But that was the answer, okay? So we do need to find a middle ground 100%. I think the biggest thing I've been thinking about throughout this whole episode is just like how to have conversations like this with, you know, the men in my life, or I don't really have any, but just men in general. Like when I'm out just bopping around, like, I don't know. It's just like, because it's scary, and I get it, because some men can get like really heated and stuff. You never know like what Trump supporter you're gonna meet, but
yeah, be careful with that.
You got to be really careful with it. But I think it's like, don't have these conversations on the street. Like, I was just kidding. Like, it has to be like, you know, in a safe space and all of that. But I think, you know, what does it mean to find a middle ground? I think it means like how you were saying, you know, like it's on me to take responsibility of like who I choose to be with. Like, it's about both parties taking responsibility, both men and women saying that like, yes, we hate on the opposite gender. Not that there's only two genders, but too much, you know, we hate too much. It doesn't feel good. I think it'll take responsibility from both parts. And I think women have taken responsibility and continue to do so, and men don't. So what are you supposed to do about that? I don't know. Let's just kill them. Kill them all. Just kidding.
Oh my God. Okay. She's kicking off the gender war more. But I agree. And I honestly feel like the we all become queer thing is like kind of onto something, because at the end of the YouTube video essay that I mentioned at the beginning, they kind of ended it with being like they're pansexual and non-binary, and they were saying like, you know, it's patriarchy. We look at things as very gender binary, and that's not helping fucking anyone. And if we looked at things through more of a queer lens, even if we don't identify as queer, and things as less just like feminine, masculine as just the genders, we all have feminine qualities and we all have masculine qualities. Like, I think it would make it feel less divisive.
No,
you know?
It's so true. Like, and it's like something as simple as that. It's like really just like bringing it back, like all the rage and the heatedness that I'm feeling. It's like, yeah, gender at the end of the day isn't real. Men, women, it was fucking like written, constructed, like, you know what I mean? So, and we know that, but it's still very like men, women on TikTok, like it's in our faces constantly, and like it spreads like fucking fire. And I feel like, as a woman, like I do feel the rage when I see things happening to other women, because I feel like, you know, no matter what their race is, where they live in this fucking planet, like I feel it, because it's like we have that, you know. But I don't know. I think both parties need to just take responsibility more. And yeah, I think she really hit the nail on the head with that one. It's like, just stop looking at it so binary. Like, we're all just human beings at the end of the day with feminine and masculine qualities, not necessarily like two opposite sides, like Adam and Eve. Like, no.
Right. And I think it's hard too, because it's like you said, like, we know that, like me and you know that because of like our education background, like going to Emerson, like your mom is lesbian.
I know.
You're queer. I'm queer. Like my parents are both college educated. Like, we've had access to a lot more information, and anyone who identifies as queer has like a different lens as well, whereas a lot more people don't have that access to that information, and in these information silos they're not exposed to it.
Right.
And that's like the part that it's like, how do we break those down? And that's why I feel like we really wanted to talk about this, because like we know that we have an audience that's primarily women, and we sometimes fall on the side of the gender war where it's like, you know, we are very dismissive of the other side, but like I want to hold that space because we do want to have men on the podcast eventually, and like we do want to, we have men submit like polls, like we do want to keep it like a peaceful, open place to have like discourse about it, and
right.
not be like fuck you all the time.
But like, why is it like low key? Like, I know I keep saying like it's not fun hating men, but like honestly it is kind of fun. And I feel like it's fun, like it's fun now because it's not true. I don't hate men, but it is fun to hate. It's
funny.
Them.
I mean, we make funny TikToks. My last caption on my Instagram post is, I heard sexist men bald faster. Like, it's funny to make jokes about like men, and especially sexist men, because it's like, I think it's funny anytime you're using humor to talk about like oppression and shit like that. And that's a lot of what women are doing.
Because you have to like make light of it.
Right, exactly. Like, even like, that's a whole other tangent, but the Matt Rife thing, I don't know if you saw that on TikTok. He made jokes about domestic violence, but people were saying you can't make jokes about domestic violence because you're not a woman and you haven't experienced domestic violence like that. But like, if I were to make a joke about it, it has context because I've been in an abusive relationship. So like, women can make jokes about men because it's like usually we're the butt of their sexism. You know, so that's why it's like funny, and it can be,
and it is empowering. And like, if men could just like take a second to like put their ego aside and like understand how that would be empowering for us, like it makes sense why it is. Like, why don't you get it? Yeah. But I do think, like I said, I think it's too much. I think it's too much. It's not good for anyone, although it's fun and we love to just like ha. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's not fun, and that's why it's like I love Drew Afualo so much. Like, she's literally an A-list celebrity to me, like up there with Ariana Grande. Like, I would die for her. But at the end of the day, it's like she's made it very clear to her audience, like, I'm not trying to help these men get better. I'm trying to uplift other women. And I think what we want to do differently on So Wet So Dry is like, we do kind of want to help the men get better. Like, I don't, but I also do. I don't know. Like, it's like easier to not want to, because it's like, shouldn't be our job. I also think like as white women, it kind of is even more so. Like, I don't know, like we should.
Yeah, because number one, I think for us is uplifting women and queer people. But number two, realizing that like we're bi and we're heterosexual and we have male friendships and whatever, is that like we have to interact with them. Like, we don't want to be heteropessimists because it's performative. You know, you're still going to engage in these relationships.
It is performative. Like, because I get it. And like, I literally said like at the beginning of this episode, like, I'm gay now. But again, like, I can do that. Like, you guys, obviously, I don't know how well you know me, but like, I did come out when I was very young and like have mostly just dated women. So I can make a joke like that. Yeah. But a straight woman that says it, it makes me so mad. I'm like, girl, you're not relating to me. I hate you now. Like, shut the fuck up. Like,
because it's lived experiences.
Right. And it's, I can confirm to you guys, the heartbreak is the exact same as with a man, but it doesn't have that added level of like being with a man and like having all this gender shit. Like, if you're both women, it is kind of easier because of that. So you don't have that added like oppression element. But at the end of the day, like, so I don't know. It's confusing, but I definitely think like we should try to find a middle ground. And that's why we want to continue on with this podcast and like having these hard conversations and like open to judgment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that disagree with stuff that we said, and like, that's okay. Like, I'm honestly like, that's fine. But we're not going to stop like speaking our truth because we know that it's right. So
yes. All right. Well, let's wrap up the episode.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. We're just going to say what we're wet, dry, and confused about the topic. I feel like we kind of did some of that and just what we were kind of saying of how to move forward.
Yeah, we kind of
did it. But I'll just say, like, I'm wet about us having this conversation and being able to, like, recognize the other side and, like, take responsibility for, like, our part in it, and also bring it to our audience and ask you guys to, like, do the same and provide your feedback, like, all of those things. Also, like, like as binary and divisive or whatever that word is as it is, like the good thing about the internet is that all this stuff is public, and even though you can be in your inner information like silo, like you do have access to see the other side. And with everything out there, now we can weed through it and like figure out how to find peace in this war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Versus before the internet, I think women just congregated in groups, queer people congregated men, and there wasn't like as much of a conversation between all of us. So
Right.
at least there's a conversation happening.
Fact.
You know?
So true, dude. That's so true. And like, even though sometimes those conversations are like horrible, at least they're happening. Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely so wet about like our personal growth and like our like man hating journeys. Like, because like I said, I can confidently say I don't hate them, which feels good. You know, some of them are fun. Love Future, especially. Anyways, I'm wet that I brought him up so many times. But yeah, and I'm just, you know, these are like hard conversations to have and they're not fun. Like I said, my heart is pounding. Like we love to just like sit back and like joke around with you guys. But like at the end of the day, this shit's serious. Like this is serious. Like if you're planning to have kids, if you're not planning to have kids, like this is the world we're living in. You know what I mean? So what about the topic?
I'm dry, obviously, that this gender war exists. I am still dry about the prospects of men. And, like, as much as I want to believe that there's good men out there, like, I still have a hard time doing that. I still feel like sometimes I do want to lean towards the femcel vibe. But, like, at the end of the day, like, I do want love. And, like, maybe I should just give more women a chance, which is what I'm trying to do now. I don't fucking know. Like, I'm dry about just the fact that there's just so much hate. It's not fun.
And why do I feel like, why do I feel like being a femcel is low-key like a power move? Like, you know what I mean? That's the thing I'm talking about. Like, it's like fun. It's like cool. Like, because it is very trendy to hate men. And although it's like obvious, I feel like now's the first time I'm like really realizing it. Like, maybe that's why I pop off. Like, maybe I'm not as fucked up as I think. Like, maybe it does also come from, like, the influences of the world. Yeah. But, yeah, definitely dry about incels. That shit's terrifying. And I feel really bad for saying, like, school shooter. But I'm just, like, that's just what it gives.
They are. Like,
that's just what
there's
it gives.
multiple. The one example I gave is not the only one. So, like, that's scary.
Right.
Like, there's real violence going on.
Yeah, definitely dry about all the violence and, like, the cases that we talked about. Like, it's all so heavy and, like, real. And, like, new cases come out every day, like, you know, with normal people, not celebrities and all that shit. I'm definitely dry about, like, the new New York law, too. Like, the Me Too stuff. That feels like 5 hours ago we talked about that. But I'm dry about that, too.
Yes. I forgot about that. So definitely a good point. Confused. I think I'm still kind of confused about, like, what to do about it and how to go forward in the algorithm internet. And, like you said, conversations, like, what men do we talk to? I don't have a lot of guy friends.
Because
like,
the guy friends we do have, like, they mostly get it, you know?
They
like
pretty much get it. So, like,
Mylao, questionable. I'm just kidding. Mylao's a great human being.
Yeah, but even, like, my dad and, like, my brother, I feel like they get it more than most.
But
like,
no.
For
me, not for you. But no.
But still no. So it's like I'm confused about the future of my relationships with men and how to, like, educate them while also having relationships with them and listening to them.
Yeah.
I think I have a hard time doing that too because I just get so frustrated about how stupid they can be. I'm
confused to also, like, where to go with dating and stuff. Like, I feel like me and you are both just very confused about dating in general.
Yes.
Like, I just don't even fucking know anymore, dude.
Yes.
I give up. And I don't want to give up. So I'm confused about that. But I definitely think that, you know, I think it's just important, like, in terms of dating, like, maybe what we should focus on is just, like, finding people with our same values. Because I think you and I both have kind of gone off the map lately. And I don't want someone the exact same as me. Like, that's so boring. But I need someone that, like, knows about this shit.
Yes. And that's the other thing, guys. Like, have these conversations. If you're in a relationship or if you're, like, dating someone and moving towards that step, this is a big reason why, besides other stuff, that I didn't end up moving forward with the person that I was just with. And I realized that after 5 months of being on and off and together and not. But like, I only realized that through like therapy and realizing that my values do matter, you know? So I think like realize where you stand on this, realize like what you're willing to like put up with on the other side, and like all of that stuff. Like, have these conversations with the people important to your life, because if you don't have them now, these issues are going to show up like later, you know?
Right. 100%. And it's our job. Like, that's all we can do is talk to the people in our own life. So
yeah,
we got this, guys. Everything's going to be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I promise. Just keep listening to So What, So Dry. We got all the tips.
We got more tips. We're coming with more, you know, we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, but I think that does it for this episode. So if you've listened all the way through, thank you so much. Definitely give us a follow on our social medias at So What So Dry. Subscribe, comment, share. You guys know it. I know it's annoying, but like just do it, okay? And we also have listener support in our Spotify bio. So if you are generous and you got money like that, I'm talking to you, my client from the strip club that always replies. You can do 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month and just, you know, give us some stuff to work with. Oh, my God. This is horrible. All right. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So basically it was just saying, like, simply, like, girl code is like the rules of being a woman when it comes to dating. Like, you have to tell, you know, your friend if their boyfriend's cheating on them, like all that stuff we already know. The article basically said, like, I would say girl code is a fuzzy set of rules that are used by women to police other women's behaviors.
Right.
And that's exactly what I think it is. And then it went on to say, like, I would say girl code is mostly about pitting women against other women. It focuses normally on heteronormative dating, and usually ideas like don't steal your friend's man, or don't chat up someone your friend is talking to, and don't date your friend's ex.